Dr. Gina Park stood in her laboratory on New Terra, watching the morning sun rise over the human colony. The peaceful quiet made her smile as she prepared for another day of research. Her medical facility sat on the edge of the settlement where she could help both colonists and any visitors who might need care. The blue sky suddenly went dark. A massive shadow blocked the sun completely. Gina looked up through her window and saw something impossible. A huge creature was falling from the sky like a broken ship. Its wings were torn and barely keeping it in the air. The creature crashed into the open field just outside the colony walls. The ground shook so hard that equipment fell from Gina's shelves. She grabbed her medical kit and ran outside without thinking about danger. Other colonists were already gathering but keeping their distance. Captain Minho Kim arrived with his security team. Their weapons were ready, but Minho held up his hand to keep them back. What Gina saw made her heart race. The creature was a dragon, but unlike any she had seen in the databases. This one was enormous with dark purple scales that seemed to absorb light. Blood dripped from wounds across its body. The dragon's breathing was shallow and painful. But that was not the strangest thing. A smaller figure slid down from the large dragon's back. It was another dragon, but this one was different. Very different. The small dragon had scales of many colors. Some were blue like the sky, others were silver like metal. A few were even transparent like glass. The pattern made no sense. It looked like someone had taken pieces from different dragons and put them together. The young dragon limped toward the humans. Her movements were awkward, as if her body did not fit together properly, but her eyes held intelligence and desperate hope. She opened her mouth and spoke in broken words that everyone could understand. "Please help human. Mother dying." Captain Minho stepped forward with his rifle raised. "Stay back. We don't know if they're dangerous." Dr. Gina Park pushed past the security team. She had heard stories from other human colonies, stories about creatures from across the galaxy who came to humans when all hope was lost. They called it seeking the human miracle. "Lower your weapons," Gina said firmly. "She's asking for help." The young dragon looked directly at Gina. Tears were falling from her strange, multicolored eyes. "You are healer, yes. Stories say humans heal impossible things. Mother has void sickness, getting worse every day." Gina approached slowly with her hands visible and empty. The young dragon did not back away. Up close, Gina could see that the creature's odd appearance was not just random. The different colored scales seemed to shimmer and shift slightly as if they existed in more than 3 dimensions. "What's your name?" Gina asked gently. "I am Yura. Mother is Era. We travel long time to find humans. Other species say we cannot be helped. Say void sickness always kills. But stories say humans never give up." Gina looked back at the larger dragon. Era was clearly dying. Her breathing was getting weaker. Dark veins were visible under her scales, spreading like poison through her body. Captain Minho moved closer to Gina. "Doctor, we can't take this risk. Dragons are dangerous, and we don't know what void sickness is. It could spread to our people." "Look at them," Gina said quietly. "Does this look like an attack to you? A dying mother and her desperate daughter asking for help?" More colonists had gathered now. Some were afraid, but others looked curious. Children peeked out from behind their parents, wanting to see the dragons up close. Yura suddenly collapsed beside her mother. The stress and exhaustion had finally caught up with her. Gina immediately knelt beside the young dragon and began examining her. "Her pulse is weak," Gina announced. "She's severely dehydrated and exhausted. How long have you been traveling, Yura?" "Many weeks, maybe months. Time gets strange in void space. We eat little, sleep little. Just keep looking for human world." Gina stood and faced Captain Minho. "We're taking them to the medical facility, both of them." "That's not possible," Minho said. The large one is too big to move, and regulations say we must quarantine unknown alien diseases. Then we treat them here, Gina replied. I'll need power cables and portable equipment. And call Dr. Hyun Seo and Nurse Dami Choi. Tell them it's an emergency. Yura struggled to stand again. You will really help, even though we are strange. Even though others fear us. Gina smiled and helped support the young dragon. That's what humans do. We help when others need it most. Within an hour, Gina had set up a field medical station around the two dragons. Dr. Hyun Seo arrived with scanners and analysis equipment. Nurse Dami Choi brought supplies and immediately began making both dragons more comfortable. The initial scans showed results that made all three humans stop and stare at their instruments. This is impossible, Dr. Hyun said. The readings don't make sense. The large dragon shows cellular decay that should have killed her weeks ago, but something is keeping her alive. And the young one, Nurse Dami added. Her body shows signs of adaptation to environments that don't exist in normal space. It's like she's evolved to survive in conditions we can't even measure. Yura watched the humans work with growing hope. In void space, we saw things, dark matter storms, reality breaking apart. Mother protected me but got sick. My body changed to survive. Now I am not normal dragon. Gina looked at the scan results again. What she saw gave her an idea, a crazy, impossible idea that might just work. Yura, she said carefully, I think your changes might not be a curse. They might be exactly what we need to save your mother. The young dragon's eyes widened. You mean I can help? My strangeness can be useful. More than useful, Gina replied. I think you might be the key to healing something the galaxy has never been able to cure before. As the sun set over New Terra, the three human medical workers continued their examination. They had no idea they were about to attempt something that would change how the galaxy viewed both humans and dragons forever. Captain Minho maintained security around the area, but his weapons were lowered now. Even he could see that these dragons posed no threat. They were just a family asking for help in the only place they believed it was possible, and maybe they were right. The next morning, Dr. Gina Park arrived at the field medical station before dawn. Era, the large dragon, was still breathing, but each breath seemed harder than the last. Yura slept, curled against her mother's side. Even in sleep, the young dragon's scales shifted colors like a slow rainbow. Dr. Hyun Seo was already there reviewing scan results on his portable computer. His face showed the frustration that came with impossible cases. The cellular breakdown is accelerating, he told Gina quietly. Whatever this void sickness is, it's eating her alive from the inside. I've never seen anything like it in any medical database. Nurse Dami Choi joined them, carrying hot food and medical supplies. She had a special gift for understanding alien psychology that made patients trust her quickly. How is our young patient? Dami asked, looking at Yura. Stable but scared, Gina replied. She blames herself for her mother's condition. She thinks her mutations make her a monster. Engineer Tae-Wan arrived next with a cart full of equipment. He was the colony's expert at building machines that shouldn't work, but somehow did. His reputation for impossible inventions was known across human space. I brought every scanner we have, Tae said, setting up his devices. If we're going to understand this void sickness, we need better data than standard medical equipment can give us. Yura woke up as the humans began their work. She watched them with careful eyes full of hope and fear. Is Mother better? She asked in her broken speech. Gina knelt beside the young dragon. We're learning more about her condition. But Yura, I need to understand what happened to both of you. Can you tell us about the void space? Yura looked at her mother, then back at the humans. We were on colony ship with many dragons. Ship passed through dark matter storm. Reality got twisted. Most dragons died quickly. Mother used her power to protect me, but Storm changed me. Made me different. Dr. Hyun looked up from his scanners. Different? How exactly? My body learned to exist in both normal space and void space at same time. That's why scales look strange. Part of me is always in other dimension. The team exchanged glances. What Yura was describing was theoretically impossible, according to galactic science. Engineer Tae-Wan's machines began producing data that made everyone stop working. The readings showed energy signatures that shouldn't exist. This is extraordinary, Tae said, staring at his screens. The young dragon is literally existing in multiple dimensional states simultaneously. Her cellular structure is shifting between realities. A loud voice interrupted their discussion. What is the meaning of this unauthorized medical operation? Councilman Junho Lee strode into their work area with an angry expression. He was the colonial government's representative and he looked very unhappy. Dr. Park, you are using colony resources to treat dangerous aliens without proper authorization. This must stop immediately. Gina stood to face the councilman. These patients are dying. We can't just turn them away. Yes, we can and we will, Junho replied firmly. Our medical supplies are for human colonists only. These creatures could be carrying diseases that might spread to our people. Nurse Dami stepped forward. Sir, with respect, these are not just creatures. They are people asking for help. The young one speaks our language and shows clear intelligence. That makes them more dangerous, not less, Junho said. I am ordering you to cease this treatment immediately. Dr. Hyun Seo looked up from his analysis. Councilman, you need to see these readings. What we're learning here could revolutionize galactic medicine. I don't care about galactic medicine, Junho snapped. I care about human colonists who might die because we wasted resources on aliens. Yura had been listening to the argument with growing distress. Tears began falling from her multicolored eyes. Please don't send us away, she said in a small voice. We have nowhere else to go. All other species say void sickness cannot be cured. Only humans try impossible things. Gina looked at the young dragon, then back at Councilman Junho. She's right. We're the only hope they have. And I think they might be the key to understanding something that has puzzled galactic medicine for centuries. Explain, Junho said impatiently. Dr. Hyun pulled up his data on a large screen. The void sickness appears to be caused by exposure to dark matter. It breaks down normal matter at the quantum level. But look at the young dragon's readings. The screen showed energy patterns that seemed to dance between dimensions. Her mutations aren't random, Dr. Hyun continued. They're adaptive responses to dark matter exposure. Her body learned to exist partially in dark matter space, making her immune to its effects. Engineer Tae-Wan nodded excitedly. And if we can understand how her immunity works, we might be able to develop treatments for other dark matter exposure cases. This could save thousands of lives across the galaxy. Councilman Junho looked at the data, but his expression remained stern. This is all theoretical. We have real responsibilities to our own people. Our people will be proud of what we accomplish here, Gina said firmly. This is what humans are known for across the galaxy. We don't give up on the impossible. Then Captain Minho Kim arrived with troubling news. Doctor, we have a problem. Ships from 3 different galactic species have entered our system. They're demanding we turn over the dragons. What species? Gina asked. Zilari medical ships, Kurian trade vessels, and Altarian research craft. They all claim the dragons are dangerous and must be contained or destroyed. Yura moved closer to her unconscious mother. They want to kill us. They think void sickness will spread. They think I am abomination because I am changed. Nurse Dami put a protective hand on Yura's shoulder. No one is going to hurt you while we're here. Councilman Junho looked conflicted. The pressure from other galactic species was serious. But the medical data was compelling, and the dragons were clearly not dangerous. How long do you need? He asked Dr. Gina. I don't know, she replied honestly. We're attempting something that has never been tried before, but I believe we can save both of them. Engineer Tae-Wan was already sketching designs for new equipment. I can build a dimensional phase scanner. If the young dragon's immunity can be replicated, we might be able to extract the dark matter contamination from her mother. That sounds impossible, Junho said. Impossible is just another word for not tried yet, Gina replied with a smile. Give us time to show what humans can do when we refuse to accept defeat. Councilman Junho looked at the dying dragon, her desperate daughter, and the determined medical team. Finally, he nodded. You have 48 hours before I have to respond to the galactic demands. Make them count. As the other ships maintained their distant orbit, the human medical team began planning something that galactic science said could not be done. They were going to cure the incurable and save 2 lives that everyone else had written off as lost. Yura watched them work, and for the first time since entering the Void Storm, she felt real hope. Dr. Gina Park stood in front of a whiteboard covered with diagrams and equations. Her team had been working for 18 hours straight, trying to understand how to save Era, the dying dragon. Empty coffee cups and food containers showed how focused they had been. Engineer Tae-Wan pointed at his latest design sketches. The theory is sound. If Yura can exist in both normal space and dark matter space, then she could act as a bridge. We could use her biology to pull the void contamination out of her mother. Dr. Hyun Seo looked worried as he reviewed the medical data. But we've never attempted anything like this before. We're talking about using one patient to treat another. The risks are enormous. Nurse Dami Choi was sitting with Yura explaining the proposed treatment. The young dragon listened carefully as Dami used simple words to describe the complex procedure. You mean I could really help save Mother? Yura asked with growing excitement. My strangeness could be useful instead of curse. More than useful, Dami replied gently. Your unique biology might be exactly what we need. But Yura, you need to understand this is very dangerous. We don't know what will happen to you during the process. Yura looked at her unconscious mother whose breathing was getting weaker every hour. I don't care about danger. Mother saved me in Void Storm. Now I save her. Technician Bora Han arrived with a cart full of electronic components. She was the colony's expert at making impossible machines actually work. Her reputation for solving unsolvable problems was legendary among human engineers. I brought everything we might need, Bora said, unpacking quantum processors and dimensional scanners. If we're going to build equipment that doesn't exist yet, we'll need parts that weren't designed to work together. Dr. Kang Woo, the colony psychiatrist, approached Yura carefully. He had been observing the young dragon and was concerned about her emotional state. Yura, I need to ask you some difficult questions, he said, sitting down beside her. Do you blame yourself for what happened to your mother? Yura's scales shifted to darker colors as she became sad. Of course I blame myself. If I had been stronger, in Void Storm, Mother would not have gotten sick protecting me. If I was normal dragon, maybe we could have found help sooner. But you're not responsible for the storm or your mother's illness, Dr. Kang said gently. And your differences aren't flaws. They're adaptations that helped you both survive. Other dragons would have died in Void Storm, Yura replied. But I changed instead. That makes me monster. No, Dr. Kang said firmly. That makes you extraordinary. You survived something that killed everyone else. That's not being a monster. That's being incredibly strong. Meanwhile, Captain Minho Kim was dealing with increasing pressure from the galactic ships surrounding New Terra. The communication channels were full of demands and threats. The Zalari commander is getting impatient, Minho reported to Dr. Gina. He says void contamination could spread to other worlds if we don't destroy the dragons immediately. What about the Curian trade representative? Gina asked. She's more concerned about the economic impact. Says other species will avoid human colonies if we're known to harbor dangerous aliens. Engineer Tae-Wan looked up from his work. They're all missing the point. This isn't about danger. It's about opportunity. If we can cure void sickness, think about how many lives we could save across the galaxy. Dr. Rena Kwan, the colony administrator, joined the discussion. She had been monitoring the situation from her office and knew the political implications were serious. "I've been in communication with Earth Command," she announced. "They're giving us full support for this medical experiment. But they warn that if we fail, the consequences for human-galactic relations could be severe." "And if we succeed?" Gina asked. "If we succeed, we prove once again that humans don't abandon the helpless. That alone is worth the risk." The team worked through the night building their impossible machine. Taiwan combined medical scanners with quantum computers. Borahan connected mining equipment to dimensional sensors. Nothing they were doing followed standard engineering principles, but somehow the components worked together. "The phase variance field generator is ready," Taiwan announced. "In theory, it should allow us to access the dark matter dimension where the void contamination exists." Dr. Hyun tested his biological scanners. "And I can monitor both dragons during the procedure. If anything goes wrong, we can stop immediately." Yura had been watching the humans work with growing amazement. "You really build machine that doesn't exist just to help us." "That's what humans do," Nurse Dami explained. "When someone needs help, we find a way, even if that way has never been tried before." "But why?" Yura asked. "We are not your species. We give you nothing in return. Other species say it is waste of resources." Dr. Gina stopped her work and looked directly at the young dragon. "Because help shouldn't depend on what someone can give back. It should depend on what they need." As Dawn approached, the medical team made final preparations for the experimental treatment. The galactic ships continued their orbit, waiting for the humans to give up and surrender the dragons. Dr. Kang Wu spent time preparing Yura mentally for what was about to happen. "Remember, you're not just trying to save your mother. You're potentially saving every future victim of void sickness. That's a heavy responsibility, but also a great honor." "I understand," Yura replied. Her scales had shifted to determined blue and silver colors. "I am ready." Captain Min-ho Kim established a security perimeter around the medical area. He didn't expect trouble from the dragons, but the pressure from other galactic species was increasing. Every hour, Engineer Tae-wan ran final tests on the equipment. "Everything is working within acceptable parameters, but I have to warn everyone this is completely untested technology. We have no idea what the side effects might be." "The side effect of doing nothing is certain death," Dr. Gina said firmly. "At least this way we have hope." As the sun rose over New Terra, the human medical team prepared to attempt something that galactic science declared impossible. They were going to use love, determination, and innovative thinking to fight a disease that had never been cured. Yura took her position next to the strange machine the humans had built. Her mother lay unconscious nearby, connected to monitoring. "Equipment, are you ready?" Dr. Gina asked. "I have been ready since we arrived," Yura replied. "Let us show the galaxy what is possible when someone refuses to give up." The experimental treatment began at sunrise. Dr. Gina Park activated the phase variance field generator while her team monitored every aspect of both dragons' conditions. The machine hummed with energy that made the air shimmer like heat waves. Yura lay on the treatment platform connected to dozens of sensors. Her multicolored scales began to glow as the machine synchronized with her unique biology. She could feel her consciousness expanding to touch the dark matter dimension. "Dimensional bridge is establishing," Engineer Tae-wan announced, reading his instruments. "Yura is successfully accessing both reality layers simultaneously." Dr. Hyun Seo watched the biological monitors with growing concern. "Her cellular activity is spiking beyond normal ranges, heart rate increasing rapidly." "That's expected," Dr. Gina said calmly. "Her body is working harder than it ever has before. Nurse Dami, keep her comfortable and talk to her." Dami Choi held Yura's claw gently. "You're doing wonderfully. I can see the machine connecting to your mother's system. The void contamination is beginning to move. On the main display screen, dark tendrils of energy began flowing from Era toward Ura. The contamination looked like living smoke that ate light instead of reflecting it. Captain Minho Kim maintained communication with the orbiting galactic ships. The Zalari commander is demanding immediate updates. He says their sensors detect dangerous energy readings. "Tell him we're making progress," Dr. Rena Kwan replied, "and remind him this is human territory under human jurisdiction." The treatment continued for 2 hours. Slowly, the dark matter contamination flowed out of Era's body and into Ura's unique cellular structure. The young dragon's scales shifted colors rapidly as she processed the deadly energy. Then something went wrong. "I'm reading massive system failures," Dr. Hyun announced with alarm. "Era's vital signs are crashing, and Ura is showing signs of void contamination herself." The dying dragon's breathing became even more labored. Her body began showing the same dark veins that indicated void sickness was spreading. "The contamination is too strong," Engineer Tae-Wan said, studying his readings. "It's overwhelming Ura's ability to process it safely." Ura cried out in pain as dark matter energy coursed through her body. Her scales began losing their color, turning gray and lifeless. "Shut it down," Dr. Gina ordered. "We're losing both patients." But before Tae-Won could reach the controls, mechanic Sujin Oh burst into the medical area. She had been monitoring the treatment from the engineering station and noticed something the others missed. "Don't stop the process," she shouted. "Look at the quantum resonance patterns. Ura isn't being contaminated. She's adapting." Dr. Gina looked at the displays again. What appeared to be system failure might actually be evolution in progress. "Explain quickly," she demanded. Sujin pulled up detailed scans on her portable computer. "Ura's cellular structure is changing in real time. She's not just processing the contamination, she's learning to neutralize it completely." "But she's in pain," Nurse Dami protested. "Her vital signs are critical." "Growing pains," Sujin replied. "Her body is literally evolving to handle dark matter exposure. If we stop now, we waste everything." Dr. Hyun checked his instruments again. "The readings are stabilizing. Whatever is happening to her is beginning to work." Ura opened her eyes and spoke in a voice filled with wonder. "I can see it now. The void contamination isn't evil. It's just energy that doesn't belong in normal space. My body is learning to send it back where it came from." On the monitors, the dark tendrils of contamination began changing direction. Instead of flowing into Ura, they started flowing through her and disappearing into dimensional space. "Incredible," Engineer Tae-Wan whispered. "She's become a living filter. The contamination passes through her and gets expelled into dark matter dimensions where it can't hurt anyone." Mechanic Sujin Oh quickly modified the machine's settings. "If I create a feedback loop, we can use Ura's new ability to cleanse her mother completely." "Is it safe?" Dr. Gina asked. "Safer than what we were doing before," Sujin replied. "Now that Ura has adapted, the process should be much easier." The young dragon nodded weakly. "I can do this. I can feel Mother's pain. Let me take it away." The modified treatment resumed with much better results. Ura's new biology allowed her to process the void contamination without being harmed by it. The dark matter energy flowed through her and vanished into other dimensional space. Outside the medical area, the galactic observers were becoming more agitated. The Zalari commander sent increasingly urgent messages demanding that the dangerous experiment be stopped. "Their sensors are detecting dimensional fluctuations," Captain Minho reported. "They think we're creating a hazard that could affect the entire solar system." "Let them worry," Dr. Rena said firmly. "We're on the verge of a breakthrough that could change galactic medicine forever." As the treatment progressed, Era's condition began to improve dramatically. The dark veins under her scales faded as the void contamination was drawn out of her body. Her breathing became stronger and more regular. "It's working," Dr. Hun announced with excitement. The contamination levels in the adult dragon are dropping to safe ranges. Yura smiled despite her exhaustion. Mother is getting better. I can feel her life force growing stronger. But the effort was taking a terrible toll on the young dragon. Her scales had lost much of their shifting color, and she was barely conscious. Yura's system is overloaded, Nurse Dami warned. She's given everything she has to save her mother. The treatment is almost complete, Mechanic Sujin said, monitoring the energy flows. Just a few more minutes and both dragons should be stable. Dr. Gina made a difficult decision. Continue the treatment, but prepare emergency life support for Yura. We can't save one dragon by losing the other. The final phase of the treatment lasted 30 minutes. When it was over, the phase variance field generator shut down automatically. Both dragons lay motionless on their treatment platforms. Dr. Hyun Seo checked Era first. Contamination levels are 0. Cellular regeneration is beginning. She's going to make a full recovery. Then he examined Yura. The young dragon's vital signs were weak but stable. She's exhausted but alive, and look at this. On the biological scanner, Yura's cellular structure showed permanent changes. She had evolved during the treatment into something entirely new. She's become immune to void contamination, Dr. Hun explained. Not just resistant, completely immune. And she can cleanse it from other victims, as if responding to their voices. Era opened her eyes for the first time in days. She saw her daughter lying nearby and tried to move toward her. Easy, Dr. Gina said gently. You've been very sick, but you're going to be fine now. Era looked at the humans with gratitude beyond words. You saved us both. The galaxy said void sickness could not be cured, but you found a way. Yura stirred and opened her multicolored eyes. Though she was tired, her scales began to shift through rainbow patterns again. Mother, she whispered. You're alive. Because of you, little one, Era replied. And because of these remarkable humans who refused to give up. The medical team looked at each other with exhaustion and triumph. They had accomplished something galactic science said was impossible. The other species are going to want to study what we did here, Dr. Rena said. Let them come, Dr. Gina replied. It's time. The galaxy learned what humans can accomplish when we work together. 3 days after the successful treatment, Era was strong enough to stand and walk around the medical facility. Her dark purple scales had regained their natural shimmer, and the painful breathing had stopped completely. She moved with the grace and power that dragons were known for across the galaxy. Yura stayed close to her mother, but she was different now, too. The experimental treatment had changed her in ways that amazed the human medical team. Her multicolored scales now shifted between dimensions, creating patterns that were beautiful and impossible. Dr. Gina Park was documenting the results when an unexpected visitor arrived. A sleek medical ship landed near the colony bearing the markings of the Altarian Medical Consortium. From it emerged Prime Healer Zeth, the most respected medical authority in known space. I came as soon as I heard, Zeth announced, approaching. The dragons and their human doctors. The reports say you have successfully treated void sickness. This should be impossible according to all known science. Dr. Hyun Seo showed the Prime Healer their data and scan results. Zeth examined everything, carefully using advanced Altarian analysis equipment. After 2 hours of study, he looked up with an expression of complete bewilderment. The treatment worked, he admitted. But I cannot explain how or why. Your methods violate fundamental principles of galactic medicine. Maybe that's the problem, Engineer Tae Wan suggested. Galactic medicine follows rules that say some things cannot be done. Human medicine tries to help people even when the rules say it's impossible. Yura approached Prime Healer Zeth without fear. Would you like to see how my body processes dark matter energy? She asked politely. Zeth nodded and activated his medical scanners. What he saw made him step backward in shock. Yura's cellular structure existed in multiple dimensional states simultaneously. Parts of her biology operated in normal space, while other parts functioned in dark matter dimensions. This is scientifically impossible, Zeth said quietly. Living tissue cannot exist in dark matter space. It should be instantly destroyed. But I'm not destroyed, Yura replied with a smile. I'm healthier than I have ever been. The humans taught me that impossible just means nobody tried the right way yet. News of the successful treatment spread quickly through galactic communication networks. Within days, reporters and medical researchers from dozens of species were requesting permission to visit New Terra and study the miracle cure. Dr. Rena Kwan found herself dealing with more requests than the colony could handle. Every major medical institution in the galaxy wants to send representatives, she told Dr. Gina. They all want to understand how we did what they said could not be done. Let them come, Gina replied. But they need to understand this wasn't just about technology or technique. It was about refusing to give up on patients who needed help. Xenobiologist Dr. Soman Lim arrived from the Galactic Medical Research Center to conduct official studies. She spent hours examining both dragons and interviewing the human medical team. What you accomplished here will be studied for generations, she told them. But I noticed something interesting. Your treatment succeeded not just because of the science, but because of your approach to the patients. What do you mean? Nurse Dammy asked. Other species would have seen a dying dragon and her mutant offspring as a problem to be solved or eliminated. You saw them as people who needed help. That perspective made all the difference. Era had been listening to the conversation. She speaks the truth. When we visited other worlds, they saw us as dangerous aliens carrying a deadly disease. The humans saw a sick mother and her frightened daughter. That's what made the treatment possible, Dr. Soman continued. You worked with Yura's unique biology instead of trying to fix what you thought was wrong with her. You turned her mutations into medical tools. More visitors arrived daily. Dragon representatives came to thank the humans and offer alliances. Medical students from across human space requested to study at New Terra. Even the Zalari and Kurian ships that had demanded the dragons be destroyed now wanted to learn about the new treatment. Captain Minho Kim was amazed by the change in attitude. A week ago, they wanted us to kill the dragons. Now they're calling us heroes. Fear turns to respect pretty quickly when you prove the impossible is actually possible, Dr. Gina observed. The most important visitor arrived on the 7th day, after treatment. Commander Jiwan Park, Dr. Gina's sister, came representing the Human Colonial Medical Service. I've been authorized to offer you unlimited funding and resources, she told the medical team. Earth Command wants to establish New Terra as the galaxy's premier research center for impossible medical cases. What does that mean exactly? Dr. Gina asked. It means you'll be getting more patients like Era and Yura. Beings from across the galaxy who have conditions other species consider incurable. They'll all be coming here seeking the human miracle. Dr. Kang Wu was excited by the prospect. Think about what we could learn. Each impossible case could lead to new treatments and new understanding of how life works. Engineer Tae Won was already sketching designs for expanded facilities. We'll need bigger laboratories and more advanced equipment, but we can build anything we need. Yura had been quietly listening to the humans' plan for the future. Finally, she spoke up with a question that surprised everyone. Could I stay and help? She asked. My body can process things that hurt other people. Maybe I can help you save more lives. Dr. Gina looked at Era. What do you think? Would you be willing to let your daughter work with our medical team? Era considered carefully before answering. Yura has found her purpose here. She was changed by the Void Storm for a reason. Perhaps that reason was to help others the way you helped us. I would like that very much, Yura said with excitement. I want to learn human medicine. I want to help make more impossible things possible. Dr. Hyun Seo was already planning research projects. With Yura's unique biology, we could develop treatments for dozens of conditions that are currently fatal. Dark matter poisoning, dimensional displacement syndrome, quantum cellular breakdown. And she's not just a test subject, Nurse Dami added. She's intelligent and caring. She could be a real doctor someday. Mechanic Sujin Oh had been working on improvements to their equipment. I've been thinking about other applications for dimensional phase technology. We could help beings who are trapped between realities or suffering from temporal displacement. As the sun set over New Terra, the expanded medical team began planning for a future full of impossible cases and miraculous cures. Word was already spreading through galactic communication networks that humans had done the impossible again. There's one thing I want to know, Prime Healer Zeth said before departing. Why do you humans keep attempting things that logic says cannot be done? Dr. Gina smiled and looked at Yura and Era, who were playing together like the family they had almost lost. Because someone has to try. And if not us, then who? That, said Zeth quietly. Maybe why you humans are becoming legendary across the galaxy. You try when everyone else gives up. As night fell over the colony, the medical team received their first new request for help. A crystalline being was asking for passage to New Terra. Her species was slowly turning to stone, and no one knew how to stop it. Looks like we're going to be busy, Dr. Gina said, reading the message. Good, Yura replied with determination in her voice. There are a lot of impossible things that need to become possible. 6 months had passed since the miracle cure of Era and Yura. New Terra had transformed from a quiet human colony into the galaxy's most famous medical research center. Ships arrived daily, bringing patients that other species had declared incurable. Dr. Gina Park stood in her new laboratory watching Yura work with their latest patient. The young dragon had learned to speak perfect galactic standard and had become skilled at using human medical equipment. Her unique biology allowed her to help with cases that would have been impossible before. The cellular regeneration is progressing. Well, Yura announced, examining a silicate, being whose crystalline body was slowly cracking apart. The dimensional stabilization therapy is working better than we hoped. The patient was Kira, a being made of living crystal whose people were facing extinction from a genetic disorder that turned them to lifeless stone. She had traveled for months to reach the humans after hearing about their reputation for impossible cures. I can feel my body healing, Kira said with wonder. The spreading cracks have stopped and new crystal is growing to replace the damaged areas. Dr. Hyun Seo monitored the treatment from his control station. Yura's ability to exist in multiple dimensional states lets her stabilize quantum structures that would collapse in normal space. We're literally rebuilding her at the molecular level. Era watched her daughter work with obvious pride. The adult dragon had chosen to stay at New Terra as well, serving as an ambassador for her species and helping with patients who were frightened of medical procedures. Your daughter has become quite the healer, Nurse Dami commented, joining Era near the observation window. She has a gift for making patients feel safe. She learned that from humans, Era replied. Before coming here, she thought her differences made her a monster. You taught her, they made her special. The medical facility had expanded dramatically to handle the increasing number of patients. Engineer Tae Wan had designed treatment centers that looked more like comfortable hotels than hospitals. Each species required different environmental conditions, and the humans made sure everyone felt welcome. Commander Ji-Won Park arrived for her monthly inspection tour. As head of the Human Colonial Medical Service, she oversaw the funding and resources that kept New Terra operational. The success stories keep growing, she reported to Dr. Gina. We've successfully treated void sickness, dimensional displacement, quantum cellular breakdown, and temporal aging syndrome. Species from across the galaxy are sending their most hopeless cases here. And we're learning from every patient, Dr. Gina replied. Each impossible case teaches us something new about how life adapts and survives in extreme conditions. Dr. Soman Lim had established a permanent research station at New Terra to document the human medical techniques that were revolutionizing galactic healthcare. Her reports were being studied at universities across known space. The key insight, She explained to a group of visiting medical students, is that humans don't see medical conditions as problems to be eliminated. They see them as puzzles to be solved. That perspective makes treatments possible that other species never consider. Captain Min-ho Kim now commanded a security force that protected the medical facility from those who still believed the treatments were dangerous. Most of the galaxy had come to respect human medical abilities, but a few species remained suspicious of techniques that violated traditional science. The Hegemony Council is still demanding inspections, he reported to Dr. Rena Kwan. They want to verify that our dimensional treatments aren't creating hazards for nearby star systems. Let them inspect, Rena replied confidently. Everything we do here is carefully monitored and completely safe. The only hazard would be not helping beings who need our care. Mechanic Sujin Oh had become famous throughout human space for her ability to build impossible medical equipment. Her dimensional phase generators and quantum cellular repair units were being requested by human colonies everywhere. I'm working on a portable version, she told engineer Tae-wan. If we can make the equipment smaller and more efficient, we could send medical teams to help patients who are too sick to travel here. Dr. Kang Woo had expanded his psychiatric services to help alien patients deal with the emotional trauma of having incurable conditions. Many beings arrived at New Terra believing they were going to die and needed help adjusting to the possibility of survival. Hope can be as difficult to handle as despair, he explained to Yura during one of their regular conversations. Beings who have given up on life need time to learn how to live again. The most rewarding cases were often the youngest patients. Children from dozens of species arrived with genetic conditions or developmental disorders that had never been successfully treated. Today's newest arrival was exactly such a case. A small ethereal being named Wisp materialized in the reception area accompanied by her worried parents. Ethereals were energy beings who rarely took solid form, but Wisp couldn't control her manifestation abilities. She flickers between dimensions constantly, her mother explained to Dr. Gina. Our doctors say she will eventually fade away completely. We heard humans can help beings who exist in multiple realities. Yura knelt down to speak with the frightened child. I know what it's like to be different, she said gently. My body exists in many dimensions, too. Would you like me to show you how to control it? Wisp nodded and reached out with a hand that phased between solid and energy states. When she touched Yura's multi-dimensional scales, something amazing happened. Both beings stabilized in perfect synchronization. Incredible, Dr. Hyun whispered, watching his scanners. They're balancing each other's dimensional frequencies. Yura is teaching her body how to maintain coherent existence across multiple reality layers. Within hours, Wisp was maintaining solid form consistently for the first time in her short life. Her parents were amazed as their daughter played with toys and ate food like any normal child. How is this possible? Wisp's father asked Dr. Gina. Because we believe that different doesn't mean broken, she replied. Your daughter doesn't need to be fixed. She just needs to learn how to use her abilities properly. As another successful treatment concluded, the medical team received a message that made everyone pause. The Galactic Council itself was requesting a formal presentation about human medical techniques. They want us to address the entire assembled galaxy, Commander Ji-won announced. Representatives from every known species will attend. What will you tell them? Yura asked Dr. Gina. The same thing we've always believed, Gina replied. That every life has value and deserves a chance. That impossible is just another word for not tried yet, and that hope is the most powerful medicine in the galaxy. That evening, as the 3 moons of New Terra rose over the medical facility, Dr. Gina walked through the patient wards. She saw beings from dozens of species recovering from conditions that had once been considered fatal. Children were playing games with friends from other worlds. Families were reunited with loved ones they thought they had lost forever. Yura joined her on the observation deck overlooking the main treatment center. The young dragon had grown considerably in 6 months, and her scales now displayed patterns of color that were uniquely beautiful. Do you ever regret staying here instead of exploring space with your mother? Gina asked. Never, Yura replied firmly. This is where I belong. Helping others is what my mutations were meant for. Besides, space exploration is Era's dream. Mine is right here healing impossible things. A soft chime indicated another ship was requesting landing permission. The message identified the passengers as a family of quantum beings whose child was trapped in a probability loop that prevented him from existing in a single reality. Another impossible case, Dr. Gina observed with a smile. Good, Yura said, settling down to plan their treatment approach. Impossible cases are our specialty. As the stars shone down on New Terra, the human medical team prepared to attempt another miracle. Word of their success had spread to the farthest reaches of the galaxy. Beings who had lost all hope were finding new reasons to believe in the future. The young dragon who had once begged, "Please help human," had become proof that humans help everyone regardless of species, condition, or the odds against success. And across the galaxy, other desperate voices were beginning to whisper those same words, knowing that somewhere humans were listening and preparing to do the impossible once again. In the distance, Era flew through the night sky, exploring the outer system and mapping new territories. She had found her own purpose as an explorer, while her daughter had found hers as a healer. Both were living proof that the human refusal to accept defeat could transform not just individual lives, but entire futures. The miracle of New Terra continued growing one impossible case at a time.